Hi YouTube, Brian here, and this is my second video of my new style videos on this channel. Really pleased to see you here. As I said in the first one, it's a very laid back channel. I'm not going to be doing any of the fancy production and things like that. Got lots of things to share with you, lots of things to show you, but it's again not going to be necessarily a niche theme, so I'm going to be doing a little bit of all sorts. It's going to send YouTube crazy because its algorithms are not going to have a clue how to treat this, but never mind, we'll get past that. But I did say in the last video that I'm a musician, and this channel was originally going to be about music and music production and live music and all sorts of things, so there'll be a lot of that on this one. Not entirely that, a lot of my personal things, but I thought, well, since I'm doing this, let's give you a bit of an update about what I am as a musician. And it's changed over the years. I started out as a live musician playing bass in a couple of folk bands in Cumbria. And basically I started as a bass guitarist. I enjoy playing bass guitar, but I don't get to do it very often. In fact, never at all these days. I don't have a bass guitar out here in Cyprus with me. My bass guitars are back in the UK. But I started off as a bass guitarist in a folk band, which I thoroughly enjoyed, but I was very stage nervous. I didn't sit comfortably on stage. I used to sit down on the top of my amp rather than stand. I used to hide as close to the side of the stage as I possibly could so people couldn't really see me. But I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed the challenge of doing that. It was the first time of really working with other musicians in a public arena and being on stage in front of a full audience, which I enjoyed because I'd always had a bit of a little bit of a negative thing about my stage performances, and it started off years ago with my Aunt Irene. Sorry Irene if you're watching. My Aunt Irene's 10 years older than me, so she was a teenager when I was a toddler, and she was into her music and things, so I used to listen to an awful lot of her records in the 60s. As I was getting older, I was singing along to a lot of her songs, which a lot of them were Beatles records in those days. I had 4 or 5 Beatles singles, because whenever something went out the charts, she wasn't interested anymore, and I used to get all her old records, which is great for me. But I picked up on singing. I used to sing along with them, but what I didn't realise, and what she didn't realise, is that I was picking up the harmonies. I was singing harmonies from a very early age, and it seemed natural to me. So of course she'd listen, because I wasn't singing the lead line, she said I couldn't sing. And I believed her. My confidence went through the floor. And for years I was of the belief that I couldn't sing because, well, my Aunt Irene had told me that, and she'd heard me sing, and I wasn't singing what was on the record. Well, I was, but it wasn't the lead line. And I went through for a long time on that. So eventually, as I say, I've been heavily into music. My dad was a musician, played alto, tenor and soprano, sax, and clarinets, piano, accordion, piano, guitar, even tried harmonica a few times. So yes, my dad was a bit of a musician and very good at it, but I was interested from there. I learned to play guitar at a fairly early age, and then I started playing more and more guitar when I was in the Air Force. I bought a guitar after a long gap in the Air Force, and then somebody offered to swap me a video cassette recorder for a bass guitar and amp. I had the video cassette, he had the bass guitar and amp, so we swapped, and I ended up with a 1977 Fender Mustang, which I still have. Very, very nice short scale bass. And I was hooked, got into the bass that way. I formed a guitar club, and in that guitar club we had lots of other guitarists. I'd play either guitar or bass, but quite often on the songs we'd do, they needed a singer, and I would get up and sing, because I wasn't in front of an audience, I was there with friends, and I would sing, and it worked out that it wasn't too bad. So then we put a band together, rock and roll band, doing rock and roll in the 60s, a lot of Shadows instrumentals, and rock and roll standards, Little Richard, Chuck Berry, all sorts of things, you know, Jerry Lee Lewis, all sorts of stuff from that era, and thoroughly enjoyed it. A band called Wipeout. We became very successful around the place, but the problem is we auditioned for singers. We got 6 singers coming along to auditions who were all experienced singers with other bands, and because I'd been playing bass guitar and trying to do some singing, I realised that at the time, something I can do now but I couldn't do then, was to be able to play and get a groove as well as sing. because what was happening, I wasn't getting a groove. I was playing straight on the beat, which for a bass guitarist isn't good. You want to get a groove either hanging back the drummer or tripping over the drummer timing-wise, so you get that wonderful groove. And I couldn't. I just had to play straight and sing. But the rest of the band decided that I was a far better singer than the people who had along for the auditions. So I was made singer. But in doing that, I went on to playing rhythm guitar, and the rhythm guitarist took over playing my bass. And that went on for several years, became very, very successful. Started branching out to more modern music as well with it. And there were an awful lot of clubs and pubs and things in the northwest of England and South Scotland. And when the band disbanded, I decided I wanted to get into a duo. So I started off as a duo with the keyboard player from the band. We'd gone to a 5-piece by then. So we did quite a few gigs all over the place as a duo, doing a lot more stuff, but playing along with backing tracks. So backing tracks and live music. So he'd play keyboards, I'd play guitar and sing, but we had backing tracks as well. And that was the first foray into backing tracks. It always felt a little bit uncomfortable, but it did the job. And what it meant was that we could actually make enough money to survive on it. But it also gave us a huge range of styles that we could play in one night. He left, he got married and left, and the original lead guitarist from the band came into the duo with me, Mike, and we were very successful for some time after that. Then I teamed up with another colleague, a guy called Andy Mackay, who, again, very successful with another duo, going around place on that. And eventually got back together with Mike. So we had a really good time in duos, but I hankered for doing solo work, and around about the same time as we started the duos, I also started doing solo work, and I've been doing that ever since. I've been working professionally as a musician for over 32 years at the time of doing this video, and I'm currently in Cyprus. I've had a duo with my daughter too, but currently in Cyprus as a solo artist, solo guitarist, using backing tracks around bars and hotels in Cyprus, and still making an income from it. What I did get into though was stagecraft, and for a while I'm a qualified teacher for adults in the UK, and for a while what I was doing is teaching stagecraft to new performers, because what I did find is an awful lot of the new performers, they could sing, but they didn't have an idea how to go on stage. Now if you remember, I said my early forays into being on stage, I was very, very nervous. Well, how I got around that was to learn the craft, really learn what goes on stage, work out sound systems, lighting systems. I worked for a little while as in a full-time job for a professional sound and light company. So we went through the thing of doing professional sound, do everything from a small solo artist in a bar up to big festivals. We put huge systems into festivals where there was multiple sound people, and I've done monitors, front of house, all sorts of things, and that I've been a lighting engineer and done lighting design, but certainly done sound design and sound engineering for both front of house and monitoring for not only small bands but some big, very, very famous artists that if I was to reel off the names you'd be very impressed with, I think, because I'm actually very impressed with them. But that's for another day. That's not the boast on this. Suffice to say that I learned an awful lot my stage trade, my technical trade. I also come from an electronics background, which really does help. So I understand the electronics behind the sound and light systems too. But as a solo artist, I realised that an awful lot of the things that would be done on a stage by stage crew, I couldn't do on my own. And you'll find in some of the future videos I'm doing that I've addressed that in various technical ways to do it. But as I say, I used to teach stagecraft, especially to solo artists, how to get onto a stage, how to get off a stage. There's a method for doing those things to make it look good, how to communicate with the audience, how to put your sound when you're talking to the audience, how to talk to an audience, because it's not all just about performance and singing. The performance is also how you interact with audiences and how you get them on your side. So I teach those courses. I now teach those courses both face-to-face and online, and again later on you'll find some links in some of the descriptions. It's not one on this one, but you'll find some links on some of the later descriptions of where my online teaching is as well, if you're interested in that sort of thing. And currently I also teach singing out here. to one or two people, primarily singers who are already on the stage but trying to improve their singing and also improve their stagecraft. So that's me. That's where I am at the moment. As I say, I've been professional for over 32 years. I've been singing and doing gigs for nearly 40 years. And it's still going. It's still a vocation, still the love of my life. So again, yes, you'll see me. My stage name, as I say, is Brian James. I said in the previous video, my full name is Brian James White, but everybody knows me as Brian James. And for certain gigs, I'll use the Reverend Brian James too, since I've got that moniker. And if you want to find out why I'm called the Reverend, check out my previous video. Till the next video, that's a bit of an update on my background as a musician. Till the next video, I'll be saying bye-bye, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.